You go back 25 years, autism was almost non-existent. It was, 1 out of 100,000, and now it's close to 1 out of 100.
The issue that's probably at the very epicenter of controversy, without getting into sort of dark, weird, satanic stuff, which maybe we can get to that later, seems to be the issue of vaccines and autism. All of a sudden now, this is another subject we're allowed to discuss. We had Aaron Siri on the show recently. Aaron Siri is the lawyer that has brought more cases to Big Pharma than anyone else, in particular when representing the rights of the vaccine injured and worse. Now, Donald Trump has spoken openly about the potential dangers of vaccines for children and potential links to autism. What a new world it is we're living in, where such things can be openly discussed, where Anthony Fauci has gone from being a presumed hero to a man that needs to be preemptively pardoned. Who else will need preemptive pardon? You are almost invited to ask. Let's have a look at Trump discussing the issue of vaccines.
Let me ask you about RFK Jr. He has obviously talked about his skepticism of vaccines. He's expressed opposition to childhood vaccines. Do you want to see childhood vaccines eliminated?
If they're dangerous for the children. Look.
So possibly?
When you look at some of the problems, when you look at...
You see that she's trying to work on old school media lines. So possibly Trump wants to see all childhood vaccines eliminated. She's trying to generate that buzz, that type of headline, that bit of clickbait. So possibly, if they're bad ones. You see, that's what I'm saying about Trump. He's operating on a level that's somewhere between common sense and enlightenment that's resonant with ordinary people, because we've become so attuned to the kind of demonic buzz of mainstream legacy media nomenclature.
What's going on with disease and sickness in our country, something's wrong.
Are you talking about autism?
Are you talking about old autism, huh? What about that? Are you racist? Like, she's trying to generate clickbait headlines continually, but he's somehow beyond it.
Well, if you take a look at autism, you go back 25 years, autism was almost non-existent. It was, 1 out of 100,000, and now it's close to 1 out of 100.
We are seeing Bobby Kennedy in government. We're seeing that Bobby Kennedy does have the ear, what's left of it, of Donald Trump. Because remember, a bit of it got shot off. Little joke for you there, kids. So, indeed, this will not be Trump 2016. This will be Trump 2016 plus the Maha movement. Let me know in the comments and chat what you think about that. Now, let's note how that journalist continually tries to mire this conversation in puerility and tabloid mentality.
Well, I mean, what's happening? If they can find it. Now, I did something the other night that was a little unusual. At Mar-a-Lago, I called the drug companies, the top drug companies.
It's amazing. Who talks like that? Like, who talks like that you've seen as president? Can you ever remember seeing a potential and former commander-in-chief say, no, I did something last night that was a little unusual. What is this guy going to say now? He could say almost anything, couldn't he? It could be some weird thing about ordering takeaway food, watching some weird TV show, some weird X post. But no, it sounds like he's approaching people in big pharma companies, and there's weird stuff going on there. Note that people are getting nutted off at insurance companies all of a sudden. Weird, all a bit Boeing, oh so Boeing. And what's Trump going to say?
And I called RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz and some of his people. And I said, let's all get together and let's figure out where we're going.
Who's going to have a problem with that? What members, aspects and representatives of the old legacy media, let me know in the comments and chat, are going to have a problem with that? And if they do have a problem with that, doesn't that sort of show you they've been sort of bought out either ideologically or financially by the interests of Big Pharma? Because that's exactly what you want, isn't it? You want a proper investigation. Now I can almost see the stream and the comments coming live with, I don't trust RFK because of this, or I don't trust Dr. Oz because of that. Well, these are actually people that I know. And like, I've looked in their eyes and I can vouch for them. I can vouch for their good intentions. I can vouch for the fact that if they're given the power that their office might warrant, you're going to see improvements in American healthcare. You're going to see improvements in American diet. You're going to see improvements in your own life. That's my prayer, my testimony, and my intuition.
Because we're going to do a lot of things. Number one, we're going to reduce prices because the middleman makes more money than the drug companies, in all fairness to the drug companies. There's a middleman that nobody even knows who they are.
Who is this middleman? Why have we not heard about this middleman before? It's good, isn't it? This is like, remember Chappelle's amazing bit of stand-up about Trump on SNL, like that Trump's a person that just came out of the White House. I mean, all that stuff you think is going on in there, it is going on in there, and I'm going to show you. Already now, Trump's telling us about this thing called the middleman. I don't know about who's these middlemen.
And you look at our drug prices, they're much higher than the prices for the same medicine, for the same stuff. So we met. And we were met for a long time, and we talked about pricing, and we talked about vaccines, you know, in terms of what happens. We talked about pesticides. We talked about everything. And I think a lot of good things are going to come from him. And he's not going to upset any system. He's not going to upset this. He's not looking to, you know, to reinvent the wheel totally. But when you look at the numbers, we really don't have a very healthy country.
Those are the kind of fundamentals as well that need to be addressed. All the while we've been caught up in tribal infighting, backbiting and backstabbing. Like, aren't we all unified in the idea that we want our children to be healthier? And is it probably wise to address the dietary crisis, the fact that the foods we're eating are making us sick, and that the food companies and drug companies benefit from that, even if it's not some nefarious plot, just economically, they require sick children. You've created a machine that eats and needs sick children as its fuel. So you're going to have to address that. The only thing I would dispute there that Trump said is that it's not a revolution. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's certainly putting a stick in the spokes of the bicycle of the big pharma. I'm not happy with this metaphor.
Sir, going back 25 years, studies show that there is no link between vaccines and autism. And yet it sounds like you are open to the possibility of him looking
I'm
at
open to
getting
anything.
rid of them?
I think somebody has to find out. If you go back 25 years ago, you had very little autism. Now you have it. I mean,
Well, they say because they're better at identifying it.
No, wow, now, come on. Look at The Chosen. Matthew, he had autism. Look, he's actually wiping a ladder and scared of germs, even before germ theory, even before people knew they were germs. That's such a good... I was like, what are we going to say about escalating autism? That we're better at diagnosing it? Brilliant. Get out there and say that. You've seen, because we showed you when Aaron Siri came on, the reels of it, there is no causal link between vaccines and autism. These people, you got to hand it to them. They are good at 360 propaganda. The war against free speech is in full swing. We are the vanguard, bravely fighting back. Rumble's the home of this channel, Stay Free, and a leader in defending the fundamental human right of free speech. They've joined X to sue a cartel of advertisers and ad agencies who conspired to block ad revenue from going to the platforms. Recently, they've launched Rumble Premium. This, I think, is going to be a game changer for all of us. It's an ad-free viewing experience with great perks for viewers and creators. Rumble Premium will give you the ability to dive into your favorite content on your mobile or desktop or smart TV and savor every uninterrupted second of my content. Why don't you upgrade to Rumble Premium today? Support my free speech and the free speech of other content creators on this platform. Please go to Rumble now, rumble.com/premium. And if you use the code BRAND, you'll save $10 and Rumble will be aware that our stream is creating great converts. So that's rumble.com/premium and do use the code BRAND to save $10. Anyway, there's a link there at the bottom of the screen now. We're posting it in the chat. Join up.
1 in 100,000, and now it's 1 in 100. That's a pretty bad number.
Childhood vaccines.
I mean, something is going on. I don't know if it's vaccines. Maybe it's chlorine in the water, right? You know, people are looking at a lot of different things.
You know, childhood vaccines.
I want them to look at everything.
Everything. So childhood vaccines have prevented about 4 million deaths around the world.
I've got a statistic now, which was given to me by, let me just check, the drug companies. That is... You can see it now in real time, can't you? You can see it. It's all falling apart observably. Whatever the subject now, in real time, there is so much truthful information available to you that you can pick out the lies. By their fruits shall you know them. Look at and intuit for a minute. Rather than just using your rational mind, which of course is a wonderful and useful tool, use your intuitive feeling about how that woman, that newscaster, is communicating. Look at how she sort of glances down furtively and nervously at the page. Look at the fact that she's got an agenda, that she's not able to enter into a conversation with Trump where she goes, yeah, I suppose you're right. Yeah, we do want to know what it is that's cool. And I suppose it does make sense that if big pharma and big food and big agriculture benefit from this model where you eat bad food all the time, get sick and then get well, and the whole things are like a racket, yeah, of course. Oh, wow, hold on, the media, where do we get our money from and our funding from? Who pays for our advertising? Wait, who's paying my salary? Wait, who is it that's talking right now? Hold on a minute, what's my consciousness being colonized by? Oh yeah, I'm part of it. I'm yet one further node in this net of deception that cannot be sliced or cut by populism without falling apart. And that's what we're witnessing right now.
Every year,
I think that's great.
Isn't that...
I'm all for it. I think it's great. Hey, look, I'm not against vaccines.
And look at him. He's different level, isn't he? Because he's not, oh, yeah, cool, ones at work, keep him. He's like, I'm emotional. Like, you know, don't you in your mind think, what would I be like if I was a president or a leader? And I'm like, oh, God, I'm too emotional, man. I get too annoyed and too irritated by stuff like that. But him, he's like, I don't care. He's like, that's what I keep saying, man. He's like a mystic. It's weird.
The polio vaccine is the greatest thing. If somebody told me get rid of the polio vaccine, they're going to have to work real hard to convince me.
Keep watching.
I think certain vaccines are incredible, but maybe some aren't. And if they aren't, we have to find out. But when you talk about autism, because it was brought up, and you look at the amount we have today versus 20 or 25 years ago, it's pretty scary.
Well, again, scientists say that's because they've gotten better at identifying it, and there's no link in studies.
The drug company.
Yeah, we've gotten better as the scientists. They've gotten so good. They're so good that there's autism actually everywhere. We've got so good at it. That's why we've all got to have a vaccine every 10 seconds. You're probably getting a disease right now. I'm talking to you. Put a vaccine into the center of your skull. Inject your heart with RMNA now.
He's going to be working with RFK Jr. and he's been an interesting guy to me. I've watched him for 25 years, and he's been an interesting guy.
He's been an interesting guy. He's resolutely natural, isn't he? Just resolutely, I don't know, it's not affected. It's amazing. It's amazing how I'd like to learn more, man. Wouldn't you all? We still haven't had the documentary we need on Trump, if you ask me. I want to know what's going on in his sort of spirit and in his essence. Now, one of the moments, I think, where the culture began to shift and reappraise precisely what Trump meant was when Dave Chappelle came out, and instead of like slamming Trump, which was the only thing that mainstream figures were allowed to do, offered something of an analytic on why the phenomena of Trump was so seductive and so powerful. Let's have a look at that, remind ourselves of it.
Watching the news now, they're declaring the end of the Trump era. Now, okay, I can see how in New York you might believe this is the end of his era. I'm just being honest with you. I live in Ohio amongst the poor whites. A lot of you don't understand why Trump was so popular, but I get it because I hear it every day. He's very loved. And the reason he's loved is because people in Ohio have never seen somebody like him. He's what I call an honest liar. Well, I'm not joking right now. He's an honest liar. That first debate, I'd never seen anything like it. I've never seen a white male billionaire screaming at the top of his lungs, "This whole system is rigged," he said. And across the stage was a white woman, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, sitting over there looking at him like, "No, it's not." I said, "Now, wait a minute, bro. It's what he said." And the moderator said, "Well, Mr. Trump, if in fact the system is rigged, as you suggest, what would be your evidence?" You remember what he said, bro? He said, "I know the system is rigged because I use it." I said, "God damn." And then he pulled out an Illuminati membership card and chopped a line of cocaine up and did it right into the podium.
That's what comedy can offer that political discourse can't. A bridge for the people that laughed instinctively when he said poor whites in Ohio, and for a moment reflect on what might have generated that laugh. He's offering a real groomed, primed and propagandized, hypnotized SNL audience a different perspective, and he's not offending them and hurting them. What we're seeing now are the percussive echoes of these realizations shared by comics like Chappelle, that Trump is not what the legacy media says he was. It doesn't make sense. How was he on Oprah Winfrey with her saying, you should be president? How was he on The View with them going, you should be president? How was he on The Apprentice for years and years if what he was Hitler? Like Hitler, in the preceding decades prior to the Munich Putsch and his ascent and the burning down of the Reichstag, was not on some sort of like beer hall barn dance show where Germans in lederhosen clicked on a merry dance. He was like in the First World War, he's in the trenches, he's getting damaged, he's consuming information about the mad pogroms and crazy information that was spreading like wildfire across Germany and Europe at that time. Trump has been vilified because Trump is a figure that brings into sharp focus systemic and institutional corruption that had been masked long prior to his ascent and would have continued to have been masked had we not created, again, I would contest, through the popular American imagination, through its ephemera and its totems, the sort of perfect American mystic, to bring down, using all of its tropes, all of its information, the systems, the kind of exoskeleton that had grown up around the once fine institutions of American democracy. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments and chat. If we can talk openly about vaccines and autism now, who knows what else is to come? And if Fauci has gone from being a hero to someone who requires a preemptive pardon, what are we on the precipice on? Let me know in the comments and chat. And if you're watching this anywhere other than Rumble, remember, come subscribe to Rumble and watch our content there. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.